So recently, I was broken up with. It was actually the very first of the year. Not a phenomenal start to 2026. Um, and it got me thinking about a lot of things to do with relationships. And I wanted to come on here and talk a little bit about that. So, the first thing that I wanted to talk about is the idea that we are a collection of all of the people we've ever met. Not just the people we're in relationships with, it's our friends, strangers, people we don't like, our family, everyone. I think everyone you interact with in your life leaves something on you, leaves an impression on you and your personality in some way. In the smallest or the biggest amount, I think it's true regardless. And I thought of this because after this breakup, and I'm sure a lot of people will relate to this, there are a lot of things that reminded me of this person, you know, um, like words that they used, like phrases, like hobbies that they're into. And for maybe a day, it was pretty agonizing, you know, very much sucked. I even there are even some things that this person's family liked. Their dad, for example, was really into Godzilla, and my friends have started playing a tower defense game on Roblox. Funny enough, that has Godzilla in it, and so they mentioned him a lot, and that it brought up that memory. But I think the third day, after the breakup, I thought to myself, this is really interesting because this happens a lot. I have a friend who plays Magic the Gathering. He introduced it to me, and every single time I looked at Magic before I went out with this person, he was the only person I thought of. And now when I see Magic stuff, it's him and this person. And that's really interesting. And I think it's really important to be aware of that. Just because it brings a lot of intrigue and depth into your life, no matter who you are. And I think it's beautiful, and I think we should appreciate that more. Now, the second thing I wanted to talk about was the. How do you say? I wanted to talk about the ability to move on and how it gets easier every time. So, the first day, like the day of the breakup, I was pretty upset. Most people are. And it took me 2 days total of sobbing, not even crying. I haven't shed a tear over it. It took me 2 days of, you know, uh, being sad, I guess, of mourning it to get over it. And I started to think how not only was that incredibly fast, but it could never in a million years impact me the way that my first breakup did. My first breakup, I dated this girl for, for I don't know. I think it was just short of a year. It was like 11 months. And when we broke up, I had to go to school and to work that day. I think it was like a Friday or something. And I was in sophomore year of high school, and I was I I was filled with so much sadness that I was angry. I was angry all day. And when I left school, I went to work, I was still angry. I was mad the entire time, and I think my boss picked up on it because the last half of my shift, he sent me to go stock shelves, and I did that fine for maybe 45 minutes until I couldn't take it anymore. And I broke down, I fell to my knees, and I cried in the middle of the detergent aisle. And it was pretty late. It was like an hour from closing, so no one was there, luckily. But I fell to my knees and I cried for maybe 5 minutes until I could pick myself back up again and finish the boxes that I had to put up. And my dad came and got me because I didn't have my license at the time, and he brought me home, and I was right back to being angry. I was so upset. I was upset at myself now because I had broken down in the middle of a shift, which I wasn't clearly giving myself enough credit. Anyway, so we go home. The drive is very silent, and he even asked me if something's wrong, and I denied it. I said, no, I'm fine. And we get home, and I walk into the kitchen, and my mom's down there, and she's talking to my dad, and she asked me the same question. And upon being asked it the second time, with both my parents in the room, I broke down again, and I sobbed. I fell to the counter. I basically slammed my head into the kitchen counter, and I cried, and I cried, and I cried, and I cried. And I cried like that for weeks after. And I don't think any breakup now will ever affect me like that did. Hell, even the person I dated after that, that hurt way more than this recent one could ever. And any relationship that comes after this will probably not hurt as much when it ends either. The second relationship, we dated for not very long. It was probably like maybe just shy of 2 months. It really wasn't much. And when I think it was the day before we actually broke up, I was at this person's house, and I was outside saying goodbye, and I could tell they were upset at me. So I asked them what was wrong, and they told me, and I'm not going to describe it because I interpret it differently than what they might, and I don't want to make any clashing sides of a story, but they told me, I apologized, but in my head I thought what they were talking about was nonsense. I didn't agree with it. I didn't think I did that, but I wasn't going to argue with them because I didn't want to lose this relationship. So I said sorry, and I got in my car, and as soon as they walked back in their house, I had put my Lil Peep Hellboy CD into my 2006 Toyota Corolla, and I blasted it. I blasted it the entire way home. I skipped to the song OMFG. If any of you know that song, it's very loud and very screamy. I blasted that song the entire way. I was half sobbing and half pissed. And this most recent breakup, and again, I think any that might come after it, I don't think will ever hit me that same way again. And it doesn't mean I am less happy in these relationships. It doesn't mean I'm loving less or I'm not feeling as deep. I haven't felt a drop in how I feel for these people. But what I do think it means is that I'm learning to exist by myself a lot better. I don't need someone else in my life as much as I did, or I thought I did. And it's becoming a lot easier to deal with that loss. And I'm very grateful for that, because, when you leave your first relationship, usually it hurts really bad, and it makes going about your life for the first month or so after, maybe even longer, very hard. It makes it very hard. It makes enjoying certain things very difficult, and I think it generally makes you a less happy person, and it kind of ruins your life for a little bit anyway. And I'm just glad that I don't think I'll ever be there again. And I think if there was a lesson to be learned in all this, it's that time will heal you. It'll heal your wounds. It'll make things easier. It might not be clear in the moment, but it'll make moving on a lot easier. I think time is a very powerful thing, and people don't give it enough credit. Yeah. Thank you.